sun was setting on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city as Sarah walked down the dimly lit street. Her heels clicked against the pavement, a sound that had become all too familiar to her. She pulled her coat tighter around her, trying to shield herself from the cold wind that whipped through the alleyways. Sarah had never imagined her life would turn out this way. She had grown up in a small town, dreaming of a better life. But when her parents passed away, leaving her with nothing but debt and a mountain of bills, she had been forced to make some tough choices. Working as a prostitute was not something she had ever envisioned for herself, but it was the only way she could make ends meet. The men she encountered were often cruel and heartless, treating her like nothing more than a commodity. But she had learned to steel herself against their advances, to shut off her emotions and do what needed to be done. But when she met Jack, everything changed. He was unlike anyone she had ever met before, kind, gentle, and with a sadness in his eyes that mirrored her own. He had a darkness in him, a shadow that seemed to follow him wherever he went. But when he looked at her, she saw a glimmer of hope, a spark of something more. Their connection was instant, a bond that transcended their circumstances. Jack took her out to fancy restaurants, bought her expensive gifts, and treated her like a queen. But Sarah knew that their relationship was built on shaky ground, that their worlds were too different to ever truly merge. One fateful night, as Sarah was walking back to her apartment, she was approached by two thugs who demanded her car keys. In a moment of panic, she fumbled for her purse, her heart racing in her chest. But before the thugs could make a move, Jack appeared out of nowhere, his eyes blazing with fury. He fought off the attackers with a ferocity that took Sarah by surprise, his fists flying in a blur of motion. Together, they managed to escape the alleyway, jumping into Sarah's car and speeding off into the night. As they raced down the highway, the sound of sirens blaring behind them, Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline unlike anything she had ever experienced. Jack's hand was tight on the steering wheel, his eyes focused on the road ahead. They were in this together, two souls bound by fate and circumstance. But little did they know, their actions had set off a chain of events that would change the course of history. The carjackers, skilled hackers who had been hired by a secret government organization, had live-streamed the entire chase on social media, causing it to go viral. The chaos that ensued was unprecedented, with riots breaking out in cities across the country. The police were overwhelmed, the military called in to restore order. And in the midst of it all, Sarah and Jack found themselves at the center of a storm, their love tested in ways they could never have imagined. As they navigated their way through the madness, fighting against the forces of chaos and destruction, Sarah and Jack realized that their love was not a coincidence, but a part of a larger plan. They were chosen as pawns in an elaborate experiment, a test of the resilience of society in extreme circumstances. Together, they set out to expose the corrupt organization behind the chaos, to bring about change and unity in a world torn apart by greed and power. With their love as their guiding light, they fought against the darkness, determined to restore peace to a world on the brink of collapse. And as the sun rose on a new day, casting its warm glow over the city once more, Sarah and Jack stood side by side, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their love was a beacon of hope in a world filled with chaos, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of light.